Can I start now?
Yeah.
I'm gonna drink my beer.
What?
What?
What'd you say?
I said, let me drink my beer.
And drink y'all be all.
Because I had to say that again. I'm taking another sip.
What kind of beer are you drinking, Garrett?
I'm drinking Great Lakes Brewing Company Edmund Fitzgerald Porter.
And what do you like about this beer?
My favorite thing about Great Lakes Brewing Company's Edmund Fitzgerald Porter is that it goes down smooth every time. It's got a nice dark taste to it. Hello and welcome to another edition of Tudor. I hardly know her.
Hi.
I'm your host Garrett, and with me as always is our knowledgeable, actually the only one with the knowledge in this podcast, Emily.
Hi, guys.
And I think our producer Jeff is somewhere there.
He is.
Hey guys. Hi, what's
Hey,
up?
Jeff.
That wasn't an audio glitch. That was a husband glitch.
So anyway, what are we talking about today, Emily?
Today, we can make a drinking game out of our podcast, and every time you say, so what are we talking about today, Emily? People have to, take a shot.
They will die.
So, well, because we already have rules for
Especially if
that.
they're,
Whenever you say something
binging.
is fascinating.
What'd you say? So if somebody was binging our podcast and played a drinking game, they'd just be dead.
A local man died today from too much alcohol.
After playing the Tudor I Hardly Know Her drinking game.
Well, that's one way to get our
Great publicity.
to get noticed. Yeah.
Someone would be like, oh man, that'll be fun. But remember, folks, we're
All
keeping this
publicity is good
historical.
publicity. We all know this.
What'd you say?
I said all publicity is good publicity.
Exactly. And remember, folks, this is historical. If you're going to drink mead.
What was it you're drinking tonight?
Francis Ford Coppola's red wine, his Pinot Noir, is quite tasty, and it pairs perfectly with many a meal and many a topic.
And that topic tonight is
King Edward VI. I was going to say he's as boring as his mother, but he's not. Well, his reign was not. He kind of was. His reign was not. So.
Well, inform me. Tell me. Let's get on with it.
So, Edward is the son of James.
Whoa. You should put that
There
line
were-
down.
Sorry, I read the name Jane and I thought daughter. So he is the son of Jane Seymour. He was born October 12th, 1537, which is my mom's anniversary and my sister's birthday. Hey, October 12th. However, he lost his mother fairly quickly. She died 11 days after he was born, which is unfortunate, but I mean, at least we didn't have to put up with more years of Jane Seymour.
See more years. See more years.
If only it were an election. So a lot of people think for some reason that Edward was a sick child, but he wasn't. He was healthy, happy, and he was apparently very tall. The only thing of note that happened when he was young in regards to illness was when he was 4, he got sick. But he was pretty protected. His dad was kind of crazy about making sure his only heir that he had split the kingdom asunder to get did not die. So he had a pretty high security around him. And he also made sure that his palaces were always clean. Like, he was kind of a neat freak for his son, not for himself, but his son. So he had a really big household. He started getting it. He got a royal household around the age of 6. So I guess that's starting to learn how to govern. So the people who would help him govern, he got that at age 6. Just for comparison, when I was 6, I was playing with my Barbies and my brother's G.I. Joes, like reenacting soap operas. But when he was 6, he was like, I am the Prince of Wales. I shall run this kingdom. Meh.
So I looked up a picture of Edward VI on Wikipedia just to kind of get an idea of what he looks like.
Yeah. He looks like a shit.
I'm calling it. He looks like Tilda Swinton. Listeners, pull up his picture on Wikipedia and take a look at it.
No, you're totally right.
I think
crap.
he looks like Tilda Swinton.
King Tilda Swinton. Well, that would
I went to the
explain
page
why I
because
called
I was
him a
looking at his
daughter.
mom's page and I was like, okay. So I switched over to his page. I'm like, I didn't change pages yet, but
And you're like,
sure enough,
ooh.
he's definitely.
I just saw that. And oh my god, it's dead on.
Let me see. Oh, shit.
Pictures make for great podcasts.
That's pretty great. He does look like Tilda Swinton. So King Tilda Swinton, he and his sister were both raised Protestant because they were born in, 1533 and 1537. So that was after Henry was acting like a bitch and cut off Rome and all that stuff. So
Right.
they both had the same tutor, Roger, and I'm not sure if it's Asham or Ascom, but let's go with Asham because I'm going to make some Pokemon references. So Roger Asham wanted to collect all the Protestants. Before I
Oh my god!
realized
I just saw his signature. It's so weird.
Edwards?
Yeah,
I mean,
look
it's
at that
the
same
signature of a
Wikipedia page.
child,
I'm sorry,
people.
I keep derailing us.
No,
but
it's okay.
Just look at his signature.
Does he look like he wrote it with like his elbow? Yeah, that looks like he wrote it with his elbow.
Looks like he tried to copy like that Tim Burton font that you see in all of his movies.
Bum, 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 bum. La, 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 la. I would watch a Tim Burton movie
that
about
really does look
Edward.
like something like I would have wrote when I was like 10 years old. So that's probably when
And
that was written.
He was using
Okay.
quills and shit, not
A pen.
ballpoint pens. So before I got too much into Edward's reign, I wrote, he collected globes and maps, so he was probably just as boring as his mother.
There's Jane and Ed.
But no, he actually wasn't, because I was like, well, we're going to have tons of time to talk about a million different things in this podcast. But there's a lot to talk about.
Well, he died so young, so like he
He
didn't have
did.
much time to really do anything.
He did, and interestingly enough, I'm going to be talking more about what his privy council did in this episode than what he did, because he was like a child. However, he was a zealot. He was crazy. In 1549, so he was 12, he wrote a treatise on the Pope describing him as the Antichrist.
Holy hell!
Exactly.
How
So,
does that make sense?
so to kind of give an idea, he's 12, right?
Yeah.
So like
What were you doing when you were 12, Ash?
I was in 6th grade. So I'm like just visualizing a little 6th grader telling the Pope,
You're the devil!
"You're a bitch devil."
Because he would hit puberty yet.
Yeah.
It's just like, no, I don't like you. I would do what you tell me to do. No. So he described the Pope as the devil.
What was his reasoning for that?
I didn't see it. I could have looked up the treaties,
Puberty.
but I really didn't. Puberty.
Having one of those mood swings again. Darn teenagers.
Hormones. Not enough testosterone. Was jealous of the Pope's sick beard. I'm getting ink all over. So after he described him as so he had a pretty good relationship with his sisters, which is interesting. So he thought of them as bastards, illegitimate the entirety of their lives. But he still had good relationships with them. Elizabeth was a Protestant, so they, I don't know, chit-chatted about how the Pope is the Antichrist. And Mary was just a very loving sister because she didn't have children and she desperately wanted them. So he did love his sisters in his own screwed up way. I wrote 1543, the third act of succession. I don't know why I wrote that. But let's assume, okay, I know. Okay, I guess I know. I don't know why I wrote that. There was the third act of succession, guys. It was a thing. There were a
No,
lot of
I'm
active
still looking at his Wikipedia page. If you go to the section on his birth, you see a little picture of him as a little baby.
I know, tiny little chubby baby. He's so
But
cute.
he's dressed up like Henry VIII. It's cute.
I know, it's like a baby tyrant.
He came out that way.
He did with the feathered cap. He came out tyrannous and feathered, like an angry chicken.
I hate the Pope.
Down with the Pope. He was making the metal devil sign with his hands. He invented metal. Okay, you remember how that one time we talked about the rough wooing?
I literally just scrolled to that on the Wikipedia page.
Well, stop, dude. I'm Wikipedia. Let me be
Spoilers.
Wikipedia.
I'm sorry, but the pictures are so priceless.
Then go to Google Images. They won't spoil it for you.
Fine.
Thank you.
Tell me about this rough wooing, which
okay.
sounds very, 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 very suggestive.
I mean, kind of. So on July 1st of 1543, before... Oh, I know why I wrote the third act of succession in 1543. Henry VIII wrote it saying that Edward was his heir, and after him came Mary, and after her came Elizabeth. So that's why I wrote that. Okay, so on July 1st of 1543, Henry VIII had a niece, Mary, Queen of Scots. And she was a baby when her father died. She was like a week old. So, she was the Queen of Scotland. And Henry was like, hey, this is a really good opportunity for me. Excuse me. This is a really good opportunity for me to take Scotland. So they had a treaty signed that betrothed Edward to Mary, Queen of Scots. She was only 7 months old and also his cousin, but England. So because of the way the laws worked back then, Mary's husband would have really been the one to rule Scotland. I mean, knowing how Mary turned out, that would have been what happened. So, however, Henry wasn't happy with just the betrothal. He wanted Mary to be raised in England. And of course, Scotland was like, no, I don't think so. So Scotland was bitchy. That's what I wrote. This is what I wrote. Scotland was bitchy and went back to its ex, France. So Scotland had that formal relationship, the old alliance with France, and I guess they just got in a lover's quarrel or something, and so Scotland was like, you know what, I'm gonna find a new hot boyfriend, and it went to England, and then England was like, hey babe, I'm gonna treat you right, also give me your baby, and Scotland was like, I miss my ex, so it went back to France.
I think this is going too fast for me.
I'm not ready for this yet. So Henry was pissed, and so he did what any ruler would logically do. He invaded Scotland. He told the guy to invade it. The man leading the invasion was Jane Seymour's brother, Edward, because we need more Edwards.
I was going to say, yeah, there's too many Edwards.
You just wait.
Just start making up more. Just start making up your own names.
There's going to be another Thomas,
that represents. It'll make it way easier for me and maybe our listeners.
All right, well, I'll start calling them Edward, Eddie, Ed, all that stuff.
Ed and Eddie.
Yeah. Okay, so Henry was pissed and he invaded Scotland, and he told Edward Seymour to burn Edinburgh to the ground.
Jesus.
He literally said, burn it so that it is only, he didn't literally say, I'm paraphrasing, but he did say, burn it so it's only a memory and everybody remembers this. So that war lasted Edward's reign.
I just want to throw my hat in the ring here. I don't think Henry VIII was prone to overreacting at all. Ever.
No. He was very logical. Very, very logical.
Very level-headed dude.
Exceptionally sane. So the war with Scotland, that rough wooing, that lasted until into Edward's reign. So Henry VIII died on January 28th, the day before Garrett's birthday.
That is.
Aww.
And Edward was 9 when he became king. Okay, so in the coronations of kings, they have the king will ride through the city of London, and he'll stop along the way for pageants and shows and music and choirs and all that stuff. So his coronation was shorter because he was a little baby boy. But some of his pageants,
The puppet show.
some of his puppet shows, some of his pageants were based on another king who became king as a boy, Henry VI. And I'm very upset about that because Henry VI was such a shitty king. Like, he was so bad. He lost so much land to France. He lost his kingdom to his cousins. He was a terrible king. I don't know who made this choice. Like, it's upsetting me so much.
There's anything I've learned about these kings. There's no choices with them. You're just kind of stuck with them until they die.
The only thing I could think of is that technically that's how Henry VII claimed his lineage, was through Henry VI. They were like half cousins in that effed up way we talked about last time. But still, Henry VI, you couldn't have done it off of another king who was crowned as a child. Really? There were a million of them. Not as many as Scotland, so. So in Henry VIII's will, he named Edward's counselors. He was like, I'm going to take care of all this. And then everybody went crazy and took all kinds of gifts and shit. Like, they were just like, I want all the power. So his counselors kind of went power mad. Henry didn't name a Lord Protector, which is a single person who's essentially put in charge of the government during a king's minority. So if you're under 18, you have a Lord Protector. So Henry VIII didn't name one. He named a council, but the council was like, oh no, we want one. So they named Edward Seymour as the Lord Protector. So he essentially became all powerful. He just did whatever the F he wanted. Edward Seymour had a brother. Garrett, can you guess his brother's name?
Was it also Edward?
Ed 1 and Ed 2.
Was it Henry?
No.
One more guess.
Michael.
Michael, come on. Garrett. Thomas.
Damn it. I was going to say that.
Sorry, Jeff. You win the prize.
Yay.
It was Thomas.
Ah.
So his brother Thomas Seymour was a whiny little bitch.
Spoiler.
He wanted all kinds of power, but Edward was like, nah, we're good. You can go away. And he just wouldn't go away. Edward tried to buy him off by saying, here's a barony, which is when you're a baron. And Thomas said no. So Thomas's plan was to become the king's favorite uncle. So he started giving him spending money and being like, your other uncle is keeping you a beggarly king. He's just making you poor. You should really hang out with me more.
I mean, that's how my uncles won favor with me.
I give him $20 every time you see him.
Hey, here's $20.
Why does your uncle sound like a gangster from 1920 Chicago? Hey.
Or the Fonz.
I don't know why I
evil.
did that voice.
Your uncle is evil Fonz.
Hey.
He strokes his evil goatee. Thomas even tried getting Edward he tried telling Edward, you really should just tell the Lord Protector to screw off. You don't need one. You're a big boy. Like, you're a big boy. You can do this by yourself.
Now, I'm sorry if I tuned out. What exactly is the job duties of a Lord Protector?
He's all power, but essentially the king.
Okay.
He's just like a king until king is of age.
So the Lord Protector, do you remember when we were talking about Catherine Parr and she had the queen's jewels because she was the queen when Henry died? And one of the wives of the lords was like, I deserve the jewels. That's why.
Yes.
It was Edward's wife. And because he was essentially the king, she considered herself essentially the queen. So it's screwed up. But that's why you don't let children have a kingdom, guys.
When, again, this is something we might have talked about
That's
before, but when was a king like considered old enough to rule?
18.
Was that just like a 18? Okay.
Yeah. This isn't Harry Potter where you're of age at 17. I guess the 18 thing has been around for a while. Although you could get married at 12. Like, that seems screwed up. Get married at 12, but you have to wait till you're 18 to rule a country.
You can have a wife, but you can't rule your kingdom until you're 18, mister.
So the king was like, no, I like having my
Maybe
my
he
Lord
could
Protector.
just get like a fake ID or something.
Yeah, that would really convince someone that a 12-year-old was actually 18. So
All these kids trying to pretend to be kings with their fake kingly
that
IDs.
sounds like an awesome,
he just
horrible.
sits on the shoulders of another kid and wears a fake beard.
Oh
It's
my
the Little
god,
Rascals.
that's genius.
It's the Little Rascals, guys.
Yeah.
It's Spanky and Alfalfa.
I think we just came up with another movie idea.
Are you kidding me, guys? This is a Disney show. Like, there's going to be a whole series about this.
The Little Rascals Tudor years.
Okay, remind me to tell you
The
about
Kingly Life of Zack and Cody.
Okay, remind.
Oh.
Hey guys, when we're done talking about King Edward and Jane Grey, remind me to tell you about this thing I learned about the show Reign. Okay, so
Are all the actors played by two children?
no, it's almost as bad. Okay, so Thomas was still trying to get power, and he tried to marry Elizabeth after his wife died, and she refused because she knew she needed the council's permission. So he was arrested in 1549 for plotting to marry Elizabeth. He was also arrested for embezzlement and bribery of the king, trying to bribe the king into being his favorite. And he tried to create a plot for Edward to marry Jane Grey, his cousin. So he was condemned and beheaded, and that was the end of Thomas Seymour. However, there's another Seymour who also causes shit. So in April of 1549, a bunch of rebellions popped up. One was religious. They were like, we don't want you Protestant shit. And the other was complaints about the lords. The blame was put all on Edward Seymour's shoulders, and his position as the Lord Protector was threatened. And there was a coup, and so he kind of lost his job. But before that, when he realized his Lord Protectorship was in trouble, he kidnapped the king, and he went to the Windsor Castle. He's like, this will keep me safe. I'm sure nobody will have a problem with kidnapping.
That's a great way to keep your job, by the way.
Right? So if you're about to get fired, kidnap your boss. Please don't do this, guys. Disclaimer.
Didn't we learn that from Horrible Bosses?
They didn't try and kidnap him. They just tried to murder
kill
him.
them.
Yeah, don't do that either.
New movie idea: Kingnapped, nobody steal.
You guys, why aren't we in Hollywood right now? Like,
Right?
Probably
I mean,
because of this podcast.
No. We've got something. Kingnapped.
I mean, at least one of these movie ideas we've come up with since we started the show. It's worth at least 5 Adam Sandler movies.
That sounds like, though,
I agree with that.
Like
Actually, it probably is an Adam Sandler movie.
Kingnapped sounds like it would have been like a 1990s Macaulay Culkin movie.
I would like to remind you guys
Like
that
a-
there
like
is
a Disney Channel
movie
movie, yeah.
where who is the guy who becomes king? It's not John Candy. John Goodman?
John Goodman.
Where he's a
King Dave.
bowling
King Ralph.
where
King
he's
Ralph,
a
that's
bowling
it.
pro and the entire royal family is blown up at a family reunion and he inherits Britain. So let's be serious. Kingnapped, which actually happened, is a lot more plausible than King Ralph. And that one was actually released and made. Somebody put time and money into that. So I think Kingnapped is a good one. By the way, whoever produced King Ralph, you owe us money now because we plugged your movie. That's how this advertisement
I don't think that's
thing
how that works.
No, it works.
Not in the
yeah.
slightest.
Yeah, exactly like that.
Okay. Give us money now.
I'll talk about Audible next. I could use some Audible money. I'm running out of credits. So he kingnapped Edward. And
King
Edward
Ralph
was like,
Edward.
Edward was like, methinks I am a prisoner. So he wasn't stupid. He knew what was
How
happening.
old was Edward by this point?
1549, so 12. It's the same year he wrote the treaties against the Pope, saying he's the Antichrist. So, the council was like, you know what? You're being a little bitch. So they wrote they published something saying all of this is Edward Seymour's fault. And in October, he was arrested. Yeah, in October, he was arrested. I don't know what the charge was for that one, but John Dudley was named his successor by the council. So Edward was released, but then he tried to overthrow Dudley, so he was arrested and then executed. So there goes all the Seymours.
So wait, hold on. He didn't get executed the first time?
No, because I know. I guess kingnapping is not that big of a deal.
Right?
Edward thought I was just playing hide and seek.
Compared to what Thomas did, like that seemed like chump change compared
know.
to, kidnapping somebody. Also,
Guys, I love that kidnapping is becoming our word.
the episode title is Kingnapped with an exclamation point.
Yes, absolutely. I survived. Kingnapped. Okay, so
Oh, you can't do that. I've got beer in my mouth.
Maybe
So-
he didn't. Maybe Edward didn't care because he went through like Stockholm syndrome or something like that during that really short period of being
Or
kidnapped.
he's a kid and it's exciting.
Yeah, this is fun.
although the last kid to be kidnapped was Edward V, and he was murdered by his uncle. So yeah.
So it could happen twice, like a thunderbolt. Get hit-
And
Does it
both
hit the
their
same
names
place
and
twice?
both their names were Edward. So the chances of that happening were slim to none.
Yeah, come on. History doesn't repeat itself that often.
Okay, so Edward was very Protestant, so reform wasn't an option, it was mandatory. So he wasn't. When Henry VIII died, the church was essentially Catholic, just the Pope wasn't in charge. So that wasn't cool with Edward, so he was going to make everything absolutely Protestant. He was described by someone as a godly imp, which I guess was probably a compliment.
Tyrion?
He was Tyrion. No, he was not Tyrion. He was very fervent and zealous for his religion. So he essentially wrote it. He wrote the entirely new religion. He had Cranmer, who, if you guys remember, I brought him up when we talked about Anne Boleyn. She suggested Cranmer become archbishop because he was Protestant, like what she wanted to have. So Cranmer somehow continued through Henry VIII's reign. Like, I think he's one of two men who made it through the reign unscathed.
And all he got was this lousy t-shirt.
That's going in our merch store, along with Bastard by Bessie Blount.
I survived Henry
I
VIII.
survived
All I got was
Henry
this
VIII.
T-shirt.
We're totally. We could have that on the front, and on the back do that trendy thing where you just name single word nouns, and we could do Parr, Cranmer, Elizabeth, Mary, Edward.
I love it. I love
let's-
it so much.
I'll make that. I'll make it. No, I won't. I'll have somebody else design it, and then I'll get the money for it.
And we will try to get some form of perfume of
Bastard by Bessie Blount. What if we just find some perfume from the 90s that sold horribly, and we just relabel it?
It's pretty much just going to be me taking all of my roommates' colognes and perfumes, mix them together, and trying to find something that works.
It's just a shit ton of Axe. Like,
Yeah.
super Axe.
Axe and, I don't know, whatever fragrance Britney Spears has.
Oh. Do you
Maybe
remember
some
when
potpourri
celebrities
hanging out in
just
the bathroom.
make fragrances all the time? Like, that was a thing in the 2000s where everybody was like, I'm going to make a perfume.
Yeah, and nobody wears perfume or cologne anymore.
Just kidding. I do.
You do?
Sometimes. on
I've had the
special
same
days.
ball for like 3 years.
Yeah, I don't wear it that much. Okay, so Cranmer got through.
Actually,
Henry
guys,
VIII.
don't say that. If we're going to start selling Bastard by Bessie Blount.
What?
Let's not say that we don't really use perfume and stuff. Never mind.
I
use
use
every
it
day.
every single day. It works for men and women, and it's an air freshener.
I have so many bastards because of this.
Smell like a bastard today.
Oh my god! But we could totally tap into the Game of Thrones market, guys.
Yeah.
We've got it. We got it. Bastard by Bessie Blount. That's going to be a thing. What do you think it'd smell like? Like, would it be
Like Jon Snow.
Jon Snow probably smells like fire and dirty butt because he's covered in a lot of fur. up
Well,
at
you
the
know there's no
wall.
showers up at the wall, right?
They just roll around in the snow naked.
I'm sure there's fan fiction of that somewhere.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we are way off topic.
That's okay.
Cranmer.
Cranmer escaped, and all he got was the crappy shirt.
Okay.
He wrote a lot of doctrines about the religion. He wrote a book of prayer, which some thought was too the really conservative ones thought it was too lenient, and the Protestants thought it was too old-fashioned, and yada yada. So nobody was happy, which means it was an effective government. Okay, so then the downfall of Edward. He didn't really fall down. He just got sick. So in February of 1553, he became ill. He kind of fluctuated between healthy and ill until June. And then he was just like, all right, well, I'm going to die, so let's get this shit figured out. So he would, even though Henry VIII's will stated that Mary would be queen after him since he didn't have children, he was like, no, she can't be queen because she's Catholic, and that's not cool. Also, she is a bastard along with Elizabeth, so they're both out. They're not legitimate. We can't make them next in line. So he decided that Jane Grey would be his heir, and Jane Grey was his cousin's daughter. So France found out about this, and because they like stirring up shit for England, they were like, oh yeah, we totally are on board this Queen Jane Grey.
Why did they have that accent?
It's not an accent. They just have their cheeks full of wine.
It almost sounded like the accents you hear in Fargo.
Wisconsin. They're Wisconsin
Yeah.
French. Or
Yeah,
Minnesota.
that one.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Oh yeah, Jane
Oh,
Grey.
we
We're
definitely
totally down
support
with that.
Jane Grey. We did definitely support her.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so Edward died on July 6th of 1553. He was only 15. He might have had a tumor on his lungs. He might have had tuberculosis. Either way, he wasn't happy. And for some reason, his grave was unmarked until 1966. Like, he was a king.
a
That's
king?
weird. Yeah.
Weird.
What do they figure was going to
Very.
happen?
What?
How did they know
These
that
things always gonna,
that was
like,
his tomb?
dig
I
up
don't
the body
know.
or something?
I don't. You can find out if he was king through mitochondrial DNA, because like everybody's related to the Tudors. So if you just find a woman who's got a close enough link to the Tudors, which I mean the Queen would count, you can just test her DNA and then test the DNA of the skeleton. But there, it's also, I mean, they might have marked where they might have written down he was buried at yada 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 on yada yada yada, and then they found
On this date, reveal it.
there was actually
It was like a time capsule.
Do you want to know how
Yeah,
it
it
was
was a
revealed?
time capsule.
No,
just a
no. Do
grave
you guys
instead.
want to know how it was found out that it was him? Nicolas Cage found the Magna Carta, and on the back was an invisible map, so he used lemons.
I found King Edward. He's buried in here. Oh,
The beast.
the king.
So
Movie idea number 3.
no. Kingnapped is starring Nicolas
This
Cage.
is a national treasure. This is
No,
international
no.
treasure.
Hold on, I've got a plot. Nicolas Cage is trying to find out about his ancestors in England, and he finds out he's related directly to Henry VIII through Edward. And so then
So he should be king.
gets hit on the head. He should be king. Then he gets like hit on the head or something, and he goes back in time to see the king napping. I think this is a plausible guys. Like this
This
is a
sounds
good.
way better written than any other Nicolas Cage movie.
I don't think I could justify giving this movie money.
You know, all we have to do is pitch it to Nick Cage, and he'd be like, "Yeah, that sounds like a great idea."
Right?
Does the check clear?
Yeah, I've done worse.
Here's an IOU, Nick Cage. Okay, so that was Edward. But after he died, the crown indeed went to Lady Jane Grey. So we're going to tack her onto this episode as well. Yeah. So you guys ready to hear about Lady Jane Grey?
I keep thinking
I didn't realize this was
Jean
gonna be a
Grey
double
from
EP.
X-Men every time I hear
Jean
it.
Grey. It is Jean Grey. When she got pissed about becoming queen,
She became the
she
Phoenix.
became the Phoenix. And shit went down. And Wolverine
Oh,
showed
okay, I
up.
get
And it was
I
a
get
big
the
sexy
jokes you're
party.
making now.
Wolverine would have been alive probably back then, so who knows?
So Lady Jean Grey was the daughter of Henry Grey, the first Duke of Suffolk, and Frances Brandon. By the way, I'm calling Frances Ajax from now on.
Oh, Francis.
Oh, Frances. Named after a dish soap. So Frances Brandon was the eldest daughter of Henry's sister. So she and Edward and Elizabeth and Mary were all cousins. Well, no, she was the cousin of those three. Got it?
Got it.
Get it. Got it.
Good. Okay, so Jane had two sisters. You guys want to guess what the sisters' names were?
Catherine,
Yeah?
Mary.
Yes!
Oh, I'm so good at this game.
2 for 2.
So, although I was doing a little bit of research on Ajax, Frances, and her aunt was, because her uncle was Henry, her aunt was Catherine of Aragon, and she was close with her. So her daughter Catherine may have been named after her. So that's cool. So Jane received a humanist education. She studied Latin, Greek, Hebrew, and Italian. And she studied Italian with somebody named Michelangelo something something, and I got excited because I thought it was the artist. And then I was like, if I say that, the guys are going to make a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles reference. So I'm going to beat you to it. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Michelangelo, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle, taught Jean Grey.
Cowabunga.
Garrett.
Yes.
Okay, I was making sure you were there. You didn't
Garrett's
laugh
dead.
at my joke.
I zoned out for a hot second. I'm so sorry.
No, it's okay. I'll forgive
Hello,
you.
darkness,
You missed my
old
joke.
friend.
Yeah, if you want to cut a little bit of that in there.
Let's do that.
Just a long silence.
We get 7 seconds before we have to pay for it. So 7 seconds of
It's
Hello
something
Darkness.
like that. It's like 7 or 9.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect. It's happening. So Jane was a Protestant. She was very bookish, so I probably would have gotten along with her. She had a strict upbringing, but I guess that was normal for the time. The article I read about her was very defensive of her mother and father because it's kind of thought that they were abusive towards her. I mean, anybody was abusive back then by today's standards, but hers were ridiculously abusive. But I was reading about Frances, and there's no historic evidence that she did beat her daughter. The only thing that we know happened was that she insisted Jane marry someone. So, not just anyone, just a specific person. So, Jane complained a lot about her parents. She said that if she walks into a room or does anything slightly wrong or breathes incorrectly, her parents will yell at her and tease her and make her feel awful. But it's kind of looking like it wasn't that bad, and Jane might have been a drama queen. So she was betrothed. Here's a unique name for you guys. Lord Dudley. His first name was Guildford.
Guildford Dudley.
Guildford Dudley. In 1553, they got married. And he was the Duke of Northumberland's son. And the Duke of Northumberland was the guy who became the Lord Protector after Edward Seymour was executed. So, you guys got that?
I gotcha.
Guildford.
So,
We're using that as a child's name. We'll call him Guild. And then
Gilly.
Gilly!
so Jane was ruling, correct?
What?
Jane was ruling at this time?
No.
Okay. Not yet.
No, that was May of 1553, and Edward didn't die until July of 1553. So things were in the works at this time. People think that the Duke of Northumberland convinced Edward to name Jane as his heir because she was married to his son, so his son would have been king. So it's all plots. So she was in line. She had Henry VIII's will said that after his children, Jane would be the queen. So she did have a place in line. So Edward died on the 6th of July. On the 9th of July, she was informed that she was queen. She didn't want to be queen. She very reluctantly accepted it. On July 10th, she was proclaimed the Queen of England, Ireland, and France. And she went to the Tower of London, which is where royals chill out, relax until their coronation. And that was on July 10th. She refused to name her husband Gilly as king because fuck that guy. And she said, I'm not going to call you king, but I will name you the Duke of Clarence, which makes me giggle because the Duke of Clarence was the guy we talked about in the last episode who was convicted of treason and wanted to be drowned in a barrel of wine. So that doesn't have very good...
My personal hero.
Life goals.
So Northumberland, the previous Lord Protector, wanted to maintain his power, so he knew he needed to capture Lady Mary. Well, Mary was one step ahead of him, so she escaped from wherever she was as soon as she heard her brother died and before Northumberland could get her, and she started getting supporters. On July 14th, Northumberland took some troops and was like, I'm going to go get that bitch. And the Privy Council was like, just kidding.
Why would Umberland want her, though, if Jane's queen?
He wanted to capture her so that he could keep her in the tower as a prisoner so she couldn't raise an army.
Queen-napp her now.
She was going to get queen-napped.
Man, these guys don't learn, do they?
No. So, no, he wanted to kidnap her so that she couldn't get troops to fight Queen
Mary,
Jane.
right?
Yes. So
I thought Jane was queen.
Correct.
Why would he want Mary?
Because he doesn't want Mary to get troops to fight Jane.
Okay.
Got it?
Okay.
Too many women. Ugh. So,
too much plotting.
I know.
Too much plotting and treason and backstabbing.
Can't they all just be
Gunpowder,
friends
treason,
and be
and plots.
cool guys?
I'm quitting the show. I'm going to watch Game of Thrones instead.
When Game of Thrones is
It'll
less
be much
complicated.
simpler to watch.
Okay,
But
so
anyway, continue.
when Northumberland left London, the Privy Council was like, just kidding, Mary's queen. We don't really want this Jane bitch. So then Mary was proclaimed queen on July 19th. Jane was imprisoned and convicted of high treason, along with her husband, his two brothers, and Archbishop Cranmer, who made it through Henry VIII, but not his daughter. I know.
Why was Jane
Because she
accused of
proclaimed
treason?
she was queen. It is treason. Like, that is the definition of treason. It wasn't a Henry VIII definition. It was a, you took my crown. That is treason. So she was sentenced to burning or beheading at the Queen's choice. So whatever Mary said. Mary said her life was spared for a moment. But then, dun dun dun, there was a Protestant rebellion. There was a Protestant rebellion in 1554. So
Jane's like, thank Christ.
the rebellion. No. Jane didn't want it.
Nope.
The rebellion. She didn't want to be queen. She just wanted to read. Like that. She's my kind of spirit. She just
So
wanted
she didn't want to be queen anyway, but then she was considered. But then she was accused of treason for becoming queen,
because
which
she
she didn't want in the
accepted
first
it.
place.
Regardless of whether she did it reluctantly, she still did it. She still put the crown on her head. She still sat under the banners of a state. She still did it. So it's like, well, I didn't really want to shoot the guy, but he was there, so I had a gun. What was I supposed to do? She still did it, right?
Gotcha.
So
I'm trying to piece all this together. There's so much moving happening
know,
here.
I
And so
know.
many
I know.
so many
confusing.
people's butts sitting in that seat. It's I'm getting it now. I'm getting
The
it.
game of butts.
The game of butts. Everybody wins.
Sounds like a Tina Belcher book.
Oh my God, yes. I love it.
Jeff and I play a game where we substitute in the Bob's Burgers kids for movies or TV shows. And now I want to do that with history. I want the Bob's Burgers kids to be Edward the
Oh
Sixth,
my
Mary the
God.
First, and Elizabeth the First.
Louise is such an Elizabeth.
Poor Tina, she's Mary. And
Bloody Mary.
But Jean is Edward the Sixth.
I'm being kingnapped.
Bob is the king, but he really doesn't want to be.
I really don't want to do this.
I'm not as visualizing like Catherine of Aragon as Tina.
Oh man,
That's funny. If we have any artistic people listening to this show, please, for the love of God, make that for us. Holy crow, that'd be great.
no, but really, that is my favorite game to play.
I just want to
like,
see Louise in the armor, like the famous image of Elizabeth in the armor, just wearing the rabbit ears though.
she's just talking about killing everyone. This will be good, guys. Okay, so back to the real Tudors.
Okay, idea 4. Call the writers of Bob's Burgers. Pitch them on this historical
1-800
episode.
Bob's Burgers.
I just assume H. John Benjamin's listening to us right now, of course.
Wouldn't that be awesome if one celebrity was listening to our podcast? Like
But it's
Chrissy
French Stewart.
Teigen. Shut up, I can dream. Let me pretend Chrissy Teigen's listening to me, okay?
Okay.
I liked mine better.
Who?
I said French Stewart.
I think maybe David Duchovny would listen to this.
I'd be fucking honored if Dave Duchovny listened to
Yeah.
our show.
That'd be awesome.
I'd
He
have
just
so much
plays
to
the
talk to him
X-Files
about. Mr.
music
Duchovny,
over and
if you're
again.
listening, please.
Jeff,
We'll
what's
do,
the
we'll
X-Files
do
music?
like the supernatural episode of the Tudors. Tudor, I hardly know her.
There you go. What did you say about Supernatural?
Who's tuning out now?
we were trying to do the X-Files theme.
I said like he would be our guest host on the supernatural elements of the Tudors.
Oh,
That's
we could
pretty-
do an episode like that. There are a lot of Tudor ghost stories.
Is there?
Yes.
Oh my God, I can't wait for that. I love ghost stories.
That'll be our October issue.
Spooky.
Oh, I can't wait that long.
Okay, fine. We'll do
Let's record it now
we'll
and then
do
release
two.
it in like 8 months.
we'll do 2.
8 months. It's like, oh God.
Well, let's be honest. The world's probably not going to exist in October. So maybe we should record it now. Just do a mass release of all of the episodes. Okay, back to the Tudors.
Everyone's asking us to do more episodes, so
What'd you say?
I said everyone's asking us to do more episodes.
I'm
so
totally down for doing more episodes.
We'll see.
I've got
I don't
all
know
the
if they deserve it
comments.
yet.
Yeah, they do. Dude,
Yeah, you totally do.
We have to give them what they want. We have a lot more downloads now. We have to give it to them.
Yeah, now we gotta.
No.
This was great back when it was fun and we were just doing it because we thought it'd be fun,
It
and
is
now
fun.
we've actually got listeners and people like us, so we feel obligated
Now
to
we've
do
got
stuff.
a fan club. Yeah, but wait until we can do a live episode. That'll be fun. Garrett,
God.
maybe one day we'll be doing the same live episode of a podcast thing as Karen and Georgia from My Favorite Murder. Dreams.
Or any of the other podcasts I listen to.
Or we can have Karen and Georgia on this and they can talk about a Tudor murder. Although they didn't like doing
Yeah.
their history episodes, so
Yeah, they're not. They're all down with the new stuff.
Fine, I guess we'll just go on and talk about our
We
favorite
keep it
murders.
real here on Tudor I Hardly Know Her. We like the old stuff.
Yeah, I
The
like
classics as they're called. Oh man, is there a murder episode we can do?
Yeah, we can talk about the
Have you not been
brothers of
listening?
the
Like,
tower.
Majority
I
of
mean,
this
yeah.
show's been nothing but murders.
Hold on.
Yeah. Oh, and when we get to Elizabeth I, we can talk about Amy Dudley.
Ooh, fun.
Yeah. Yeah, there are lots of murders, man. That's like all Henry VIII did. Yeah, we'll just, I mean, Karen and Georgia, if you're listening, yes, we'll totally go on your episode, your
You
show.
don't have to beg. It's okay.
Like, we get it. You love us. Thanks. Love you too. Okay, so back to the Tudors. Okay, so the Protestant Rebellion happened in 1554. And that was the Wyatt Rebellion. And they were essentially revolting because Mary was planning on marrying King Philip I of Spain. And they didn't want King Philip I of Spain. They didn't like Spain. So they rebelled. And it didn't go down well for them. They were also going to put Jane back on the throne because she was Protestant. And so, of course, the verdict of death actually had to be carried through for Jane. And on February 9th, she was going to be beheaded, but it was postponed because Mary said, if you convert to Catholicism, I'll let you live. Well, Jane was very, very Protestant, less zealous than her cousin Ed, but very religious. So she said no. She actually became friends with the guy who was sent to convert her, and he went with her to the block, which is very sweet. But they had a
I just can't stop picturing Jane Seymour as like a dude type figure who just wants to chill out and do her own thing.
Jane Grey, you
but
mean?
Everyone's
Not
like,
Jane
no,
Seymour?
I want you. Yeah, Jane Grey. Sorry,
Yeah, that's okay.
the Phoenix.
Yeah, she just totally wants to chill.
She's just like, man, I just want to do my own thing, man.
Yeah, she just wanted to read her books.
Like this king stuff is just, man.
Yeah, she really just wanted to read
Everyone's
books.
like, no, you're part of this now.
And
She's
think
like,
about
damn it.
Erasmus
Yeah.
and all that stuff. But she couldn't because on February 12th, she and Guildford were both executed.
Oh.
So,
By the way, I just had this thought. Anytime you mention like a boring king or like a boring person in the show, I imagine the guy at the end of Spaceballs that Vespa was supposed to be married to, who's just always yawning.
Where
Prince Valium.
Yeah, I imagine that guy.
Spaceballs is a very funny movie, guys. In case you haven't seen it,
There's
Mel
also
Brooks
so
will
many
take our
parallels
check
with
now.
the Tudors,
Thanks.
Just kidding.
Oh my God! If Mel Brooks listened to our podcast,
Idea number 5: Tudors in space.
In the year 3000.
so are we calling this episode "Kingnapped" or "Tudors in Space"?
Tudors in space.
Do it Kingnapped / Tudors in space.
No, we gotta go with one or the other.
Kingnapped is too good.
Kingnapped is a good
Kingnapped or Tudors in space. That
one.
can be
Ooh,
the title.
yeah, we could do the alternate
Ooh.
thing where somebody's pretentious and they can't decide, so they give them both titles.
Like an old
Yeah.
pulp novel or something.
Yeah, we're doing that. Kingnapped or Tudors in Space. That's a good one. So,
Or we
did
release the
have-
episode twice with both names.
we did have some requests to talk a little bit about Jane's parents, and I kind of slipped in a little bit about Frances Brandon. I didn't get the chance to read too much about Henry, her father. But where I stopped with my research on Frances Brandon was that after her daughter was executed, she lived in poverty during the reign of Mary I, which is not too surprising. But I mean, I'm excited to talk about Mary I because she was not too friendly to her relations. Like, she killed Jane, who was her cousin. She was shitty to Elizabeth and almost executed her multiple times. She ignored her other cousin Francis / Ajax. And it's just not good, man. I mean, Elizabeth was hardly better. She did execute her cousin, but...
Were Mary and Elizabeth from the same mother or no?
No, Mary was Catherine of Aragon's daughter.
Yeah, we point out all the
Elizabeth-
kids were from the different wives.
Yeah.
Okay.
Elizabeth was Anne Boleyn's daughter.
And Edward was Jane
Eddie
Seymour's.
was Jane Seymour's child.
And those are
Those
the three that
episodes
really
were like
lived.
years and years ago. It's hard for me to remember. But I'm trying.
Yeah. So Edward's reign was not boring, but he kind of sounds just as boring as his mother. He collected globes, for God's sake.
There's not a whole lot to do back when you were a kid.
When you're a
Except
child
get
king.
kingnapped.
You could have invented Battleship. I mean,
Probably just let it happen because he was like, "There's what am I supposed
So
to do? I
boring.
collect freaking
Oh,
globes
oh,
and
oh.
maps."
I also
Like,
forgot to say. So Thomas Seymour, the guy who tried bribing Edward to be his favorite uncle, he at one point tried to kidnap Edward.
oh my God, Kingnapped 2.
The sequel.
There's the sequel right there. Yeah,
Kidnapped
Jeff's
to
got it.
Electric Boogaloo. Dancing in the streets. He tried. Okay, this one's sad. He broke into Edward's room when he was asleep, and he had a gun, and he was startled, and he shot.
I keep forgetting they have guns. So I just imagine him with like a modern style pistol.
A Glock.
And just pulls it out of his breast pocket. Or he's got it like holstered in his pants, like his waistband.
He's got an AK-47, a Kalashnikov. This wasn't even invented until the 1970s. I don't know how I have it.
Oh man.
No, but he broke into the
Also,
king's
another
room.
idea. If anybody from Drunk History is listening, please get Emily on.
I'm gonna get drunk for the episode where we talk about religion. Like, I'm really excited to do that because when I drink, that's usually what I end up talking to people about. So Thomas broke into Edward's room and accidentally shot his dog.
Aw.
Yeah,
Oh God.
I know, sad puppy. But Edward was not kidnapped that time. So that's-
Probably because he heard his dog getting shot.
No, man, I'm
then-
not in the mood to be kidnapped
and
today.
then-
I'm sorry.
And then he pulled out a Glock. He was like, hey, hold
He
up.
wakes up, he's
Became
like,
a British
really, man?
standoff.
Really, my fucking dog?
He's
No
like, I'm a
kidnapping for you
conservative.
today.
I have the right to
Get out
bear
of my
arms."
chambers.
Oh, that was a good
Also,
one.
why doesn't the king lock his door?
I think it was locked. I think he just, like, I don't know. I think he came in through, like, a side door. Because, like, Henry VIII had all these side doors to go down secret passages to see his bitches. His lady bitches. His Mrs. bitches. So maybe Thomas came up through one of the... God, I'm getting confused. Little bitch Seymour. So that covers that.
So that's
Well,
the story
alright.
of Edward and Jean Grey.
Edward and
Edward
Phoenix.
and Jean Grey.
And Wolverine.
Jane Grey.
And Nick Cage.
And Nick Cage. And John Goodman.
And French Stewart.
And French Stewart. Man, this is a weird episode.
This was a great episode.
It was pretty good now that I was trying to put the pieces together as you're explaining it. I'm just completely lost and mouth agape, staring at the screen like,
You're just
what the hell is she talking about? But I get it now.
I'll draw a thing for you again.
I even got all the Seymours squared away. I got my Seymours all in a row.
Yeah, all the
man.
Seymours suck.
Yes. Yes,
Yeah.
they do. You are correct. They do suck.
They did not do the crown any favors.
No. I mean, they made the
No.
heir.
They made the one really weird son who liked being kidnapped.
Kingnapped.
Kidnapped.
Hey, Uncle Thomas, can you kidnap me again next weekend?
That was fun. You're my favorite uncle.
This kid's always just want to get kidnapped.
Oh, guys. I love ya.
Oh, I love you too, Emily.
So,
So is that all we have for today? Do you have anything
Yes.
else for us, Emily?
no, but stay tuned for the next episode.
What will be the next episode?
We're going to talk about Bloody Mary.
Yay!
Ooh, let's drink Bloody
Oh.
Marys. Let's do an early morning episode and drink Bloody Marys and go into the bathroom and
I
I'll
was
say
about to
Bloody.
say.
Let's all go play Bloody Mary.
This will end well.
See, that requires me waking up in the morning. Which
No,
you're not going to get out
we
of
could
me.
just all sleep in until noon and then do it.
Okay.
You know, if you come visit this weekend, we could do it on Sunday.
We'll see what happens.
We should.
here.
Yeah, so next week we'll
This
talk
is
about
beyond.
Bloody Mary, whose name is not very well deserved because she wasn't any worse than Elizabeth. And with how crazy Edward was, how much of a zealot Edward was, he was well on his way to being worse than her in terms of burning Catholics and whatnot. So, fun fact. Let's discuss on the Facebook page. Okay, guys, let's discuss. So,
speaking of the Facebook page, we've been kind of, compared to what we were, I'd say last month, we've begun a lot more interaction with the listeners, and I really appreciate it. I know Emily freaking loves it.
Guys, it makes my day. Like, first of all, I just really love that you guys are telling us how much you like the podcast and actually giving suggestions for episodes and getting involved. Like, I love that. But also, now you're sending me extra history stuff, and for that, I will love you. Shout out.
That's like porno for Emily.
Oh, it's so friggin' great. I love it. Thank you to Jessica Griffith, especially, for sending me The Secrets of the Six Wives. I am excited to watch that. But yeah, thank you guys. It's really awesome. We didn't expect more than like 50 people to watch this or listen to this.
And majority of them probably be people we already knew.
Yeah, so it's pretty awesome that someone from Australia
I
is
saw
listening
that.
to this.
That was awesome that someone in Australia is listening to us.
It's so cool. Like, I'm not even
we're
British. I could be
international,
lying
baby.
about all of this, and you're just taking me at my word. So thank you.
Yeah, we're not some faceless group or anything. Like, we want to talk to you guys,
Yeah.
and we will respond to you guys unless we've got like thousands of people trying to contact.
No, I'm going to respond.
contact us at
I will
once.
quit my
Like,
day job to talk to all of them about Tudors. Like,
no, we really appreciate it, and once again, tell your friends,
Yeah.
tell anyone else that you know of that you might know of who might like this stuff.
yeah, absolutely do that, guys. It's so cool. We love it.
Yeah.
Ratings and
Yeah,
reviews
it's-
are awesome on iTunes. They help other people find us. Even if you want to say you don't like it, or if you want to offer suggestions, we actually read them. So send us those. Get on iTunes, leave us a review, rate us, help others find us, and then keep
It's
talking about the
all
Tudors.
Great. Man, I love it when I go into iTunes and I search for Tudor, and we're like the third thing that pops up.
We're pretty close. We're in the top 10 at least. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
It's
I
great.
am really looking forward to like talking to other people, other podcasters about this too. So
Oh man, that'd be a good guest episode.
yeah, man, absolutely. But thank you guys again. So that's it.
And if you guys want to get a hold of us, where can you find us?
Oh, you can find us on our Facebook page at Tudor I Hardly Know Her, or on Twitter at Tudor Know Her. And maybe one day I'll set up a Gmail account. But for right now, you can just send us a message on that. I'm on my phone all the time, so I'll respond to you guys.
I think I need to get in on some of this Facebook action, start interacting with people as well.
Yeah, man, give them false information.
Or throwing a joke or two.
Yep,
We'll see what happens.
it'll be great.
But anyway, everyone, thank you for listening to this episode, and be on the lookout for the next one about Bloody Mary herself.
Yes. All right.
So, for Jeff and Emily, and I'm Garrett. Damn, it's been a while. Divorced, beheaded, died.
Divorced,
beheaded,
beheaded,
survived.
survived. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.